Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for tuning in. We got a great show today, man. We are going to be talking about 9 players that we believe in the 2024 draft, 2025 draft, and 2026 draft have potential to hit our future Dynasty roster. So it's called our Devy Buy Show, which is basically we're looking at future fantasy Dynasty assets that we think are going to hit our Dynasty roster. So I'm going to be joined today by 2 of my favorite people in the Devy space. Jason DiRienzo, he is my podcast co-host, as well as Felix Sharp, co-founder of Campus to Canton. And we're each going to talk about 3 players that we think in the future could hit our Dynasty roster. So if you play Dynasty, man, and you were looking for a channel here on YouTube that is going to give you an early glimpse of future players to hit your Dynasty rosters, hit that subscribe button. This is the channel for you. We scout tomorrow's Dynasty players today. And if you want access to my dashboard where we have the Devy ranks, and NFL draft ranks for 2024, 2025, 2026 class even, hit me up via email. You can see my email here below on the screen right now, and I will give you a sneak peek for a 2-week trial to kind of see if you like it. So let's get to the show. I'm going to introduce Jason and Felix here. We're going to talk about 9 players that we feel are buys right now in the fantasy football space for our future Dynasty rosters. Enjoy the show. All right, so let's get into it. Felix and Jason, we are going to talk first about our Devy buys. All right, I'm going to go first. I want to talk about my first buy for the season. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I know Jason's on board with this player. And Felix, I know that you are a fan also. There's a lot of projection, but I want to talk about Carson Beck, what we have in Carson Beck as he starts at Georgia this year. I'm really excited about him. Again, we haven't seen a lot of him play. I mean, he was a 4-star prospect, ranked 5th in his class back in 2020, sat for 2 years behind Stetson Bennett. But I love the kid's size. It's 6'4", 215 pounds. Right off the bat, he's got that, size that we really like from a physicality standpoint. But I'll tell you, the spring game, he really flashed. I put a video out on the channel, on my YouTube channel, basically showing his spring game. And I just think he's in a perfect spot to be successful, right? He's going to have a good offensive line. He's got some weapons this year, some pass catchers. And of course, we're going to talk about one of those names here very shortly in Ladd McConkey. But, it's going to be a run heavy, probably game plan, which is good, I think, for a quarterback. He's been in the league for 2 years, sitting, like I said, behind Stetson Bennett, and this is his year. He's a junior this year. He's going to get the rock. I'm not worried about Vandegrift or Stockton really taking anything away from him. I think he's going to have the keys to the kingdom, and I'm not worried about Dylan Raiola, I believe you can say his name. He's an incoming 2024 commit that he's still committed to Georgia, from what I understand. Is that true, right? He is. Yeah. So, but I think just like with Stetson Bennett, even if Dylan comes in and flashes as a freshman next year, I really truly believe that if Carson Beck has a solid year, I think he has the ability. He's going to keep that job, and Dylan's just going to have to sit on the bench for another year. But hey, this is a complete projection pick. I mean, I picked them up, and like I said, I have 4C, 2C supplemental drafts. I picked them up in 2. I think you snagged them. If I'm not.
You can take them from me. No. You got them.
You got them from me? Okay.
You got in front of me and you got them, yeah.
Yeah, you snagged someone else for me in that league that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I'm all in on Carson Beck. And Felix, I know you're a fan too. I've seen you on Twitter. You think he has upside.
How long do you want this podcast to be, Brandon? Because we could do 20, 30 minutes.
All right, Jason, who is your first Devy buy?
Yeah, my first Devy buy is going to be a guy that I've been talking about for a little while now, and that is going to be Clemson wide receiver Antonio Williams. You and I did a film study on him, all 22, and we were both pretty impressed with just his ability to get off the line quickly, his nuance as far as breaking in his route, crisp, subtle footwork in order to manipulate. There's a lot to like about what Antonio Williams can deliver. And last year, he had 604 yards to 4 touchdowns, 110 NFL rating when targeted. I mean, that's big time. So I really think that his game is going to take a next step in his development. I think Cade Klubnik is going to love throwing the ball to Antonio Williams, who understands how to create separation and get open. I think the only thing I'm interested in is to see how Adam Randall, who's now healthy and could also be a buy on this, if we're going to go down that road, how he eats into the target share. But I really think Antonio Williams is a special talent and has next level abilities. So Antonio Williams is my guy here.
Yeah, we did a film breakdown on the channel, and you're right. He's a twitchy receiver. That's what the NFL's looking for, guys that create space and get open. And I think he fits that mold of size and athleticism. Felix, who was your first Devy buy?
I'm going to stay at the wide receiver position, and I'm going to pick Barian Brown at Kentucky. Now, if you play C2C or you follow recruiting or you watch the SEC, you already know that Barian Brown, excellent freshman last year, came from Tennessee, I believe, is probably the best kick returner in the country, but he's a very versatile player. He can get you – I think he's on the Marquise Hollywood Brown spectrum, but he's a little bit taller than Marquise Hollywood Brown, 6'1", 185 or so. I think that he could be – I mean, he was electric last year. You look at him against Georgia, I think he had 124 yards and a touchdown or so against the best defense in the country. I think that Kentucky upgraded at quarterback this year with Devin Leary, who can make more plays from the pocket, maybe be a little bit more accurate. And this is another team that generally wants to run the football. Well, you pair that type of scheme with a wide receiver that can beat you deep and take advantage of one-on-one situations. Barian Brown is that type of player. So he flashed last year, but I think that there's the potential. And by the way, Dane Key on the other side of the field, another freshman, he's good in his own right. They got Tavion Robinson there. But I think that this is the season that we say, oh, wait, one of the three best wide receivers in the country is playing at Kentucky. Yes, it is. And it's the 6'1" explosive playmaker who's one of the best kick returners in the country. This year, he becomes one of the best wide receivers in the country. So I'm buying specifically Barian Brown and his pairing with I forgot the quarterback's name who just transferred from NC. Devin Leary. With Devin Leary. Yes, Devin Leary.
Yeah, he was great in special teams too. So that's going to be another feather in his cap going to the NFL. Teams are going to love his ability to punt return, kick return. I mean, he's an explosive player. So I like that speed, man. That's what sells in the NFL. My second buy, I want to talk about Jace McClellan. I feel like he's the forgotten running back in the 2024 class. He came to Bama in 2020. I think he was a top 5 recruit coming out of high school. And unfortunately, he tore his ACL in the 2021 season, and he came back last year, had a productive season. But I love his size. He's 5'11", around 210, 215. And he's going to get the rock this year. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is out of the picture. And he was pretty productive last year. I mean, he averaged 5.8 yards a carry, ran for 655 yards. He got the second most carries at 112 as he was recovering from his ACL injury. So I'm predicting that the ACL injury is fully healed. He also caught, I think, 14 balls last year for 137 some yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's got that pass catching ability. Jason, you and I, again, on the channel here, we did a film review on Jace McClellan, and we kind of liked what we saw. So, sometimes it takes 2 years to come back from those ACL injuries. I just put a video out on my top, 2024 draft running back prospects heading into the draft next year. And he was number 8 for me, but I could see him with a solid season. Alabama puts running backs in the NFL. We saw Brian Robinson go to the NFL. He had to wait his turn. Well, it's Jace McClellan's turn. And I feel like he's kind of forgotten about because he had the ACL injury. But if he comes out and just has a really productive season, and I think with the erratic play of Milroe maybe playing quarterback, they might lean on the run just a little bit more at Alabama. I see big things for Jace McClellan. So I think he's a buy low right now. I think he's kind of forgotten a little bit. And if someone's got him on a Devy roster somewhere, you might be able to pluck him away for a more flashy name right now, like an incoming freshman player. So Jace McClellan is my second Devy buy.
I think that's a great call, man. Our film breakdown definitely shows very good movement ability. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see Jace McClellan up close, definitely go to the YouTube channel, Devy Dynasty, and check that one out. My next buy is going to be Branson Robinson, running back out of Georgia. I think right now is the perfect time that if you were going to buy Branson Robinson, this is the lowest point because we haven't seen much of him at all, right? He had 330 yards to 3 touchdowns last season, and I just really feel like he's just going to be the guy in this backfield. Definitely the most talented guy for my opinion. No offense to Andrew Paul, Brandon, but I just think that Branson Robinson is just made and designed for Sunday football. And once he gets on the field, a healthy Branson Robinson, we're going to see that from him. I mean, just the speed, the skill set that he has, the brute physical mentality, extremely tenacious running between the tackles. That's Georgia football and that's NFL football. And that's exactly what I want to see from a guy that I'm going to have on my Devy roster. Just want to see him do a little bit more in the pass game. I think he only had 1 reception last year, but again, limited time of of exposure. Hopefully, Georgia gives him the opportunity to catch some passes this season.
Yeah, he should get the rock. He should be the guy, and I can see him getting the majority of the carries. Felix, who is your second Devy buy?
Jace McClellan, highest spark score in that 2020 class. Out of the running backs, the highest spark score in that class. I'm going with Dante Moore. I just want to talk about this quarterback from Detroit King, my home state, who was originally committed to Oregon and then goes to UCLA with Chip Kelly. There have been 3 quarterbacks since we kind of started doing Campus to Canton that I thought really highly of. Devin Brown is one, Drew Aller is the other, and then Dante Moore is the third. Anticipatory throws, making quick reads. He's going to be hard to sack because he gets the ball out quickly. He's a guy who's comfortable throwing to the back shoulder. In the Campus to Canton Freshman and Supplemental Guide, I called him a game manager, but I didn't mean that as a pejorative. What I meant by that is he can push the issue, but he's also a quarterback who will take what the defense is giving him. That's something that like Tom Brady has done his whole career. There's a lot of quarterbacks who have built their careers on that. And then, from time to time, they really push the issue, those tight window throws. I think that Dante Moore is extremely game ready. He started at varsity as a freshman. He was an 8th grader, went into the 9th grade, and the coaches are looking at him like, we think we have something special here that offseason going into Detroit King, which is, if you don't know, is one of the premier high school football programs in Michigan, right along with Muskegon. So I really like Dante Moore, and I had to talk about a player that I really like. And I think that there's a possibility that he starts week 1 at UCLA. He's battling for that job now, but Dante Moore is my second buy here.
Yeah, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I did a video in the All-American game this past winter. He was the MVP and he lit it up. He was throwing the ball to Carnell Tate. The kid Brown from LSU caught a few passes. He was great. And what I really liked about him when I saw him play, he got absolutely smoked by a defender. I mean, a really rough hit, face, helmet to helmet right to the face, and he popped right back up. Man, you got to love his size, and you could tell he's a baller out there, an absolute baller. I'm going to talk about my third Devy buy, and a guy that I really, really like. Again, have a film on the channel here of him, and that's Antwain Wells Jr. From South Carolina, man. I really, really like this kid a lot. I think he could be a really sneaky riser, and the physicality that he brings to the table. He's 6'1", 207 pounds, but he's got a great blend of physicality and strength. He's going to be a senior. He was his first 2 years. He played at James Madison, and then he transferred to the SEC last year. So he goes, to an SEC school. And I got some stats here I wanted to put out there. He ranks 2nd in the SEC with 68 receptions. He was 5th in the SEC with receiving yards of 928. And PFF gave him a 99 receiving grade for all of his receptions over 15 yards. He only had 1 drop the entire 2022 season. But what I really like about him is his physicality. He's got great hands. His run after the catch ability is what I really, really like most about him. If you watch him play, I mean, he is a tenacious runner with the ball in his hands. He looks for contact. I love physicality when it comes to wide receivers and running backs. Jason, you know that. And this guy he drips with that. Now, the one knock is, he doesn't have that speed, but I think he's going to be more of a kind of a possession physical receiver more than a burner. But I don't think his speed is anything that's going to prohibit him from getting any kind of draft capital. I predict that he could be a really big riser. This time next year, he could be a late 2nd, early 3rd rookie pick in our rookie drafts next year. I really like Antwain Wells. I'm trying to get him in a lot of leagues right now.
Yeah, I like that pick of Antwain Wells, man. I did a deep dive on him with a report I did with the Devy Watch, and man, the person is even just as good as the guy we see on Sundays or on Saturdays. And I wanted to say this too: Real Analytics, who does a lot of their technology with speed evaluation, they have him on the watch list as one of the faster players in college football. They recorded him, I think, in the 20s as far as miles per hour. So there might be some deceptive speed that we're not aware of. So that'd be interesting to see too. My third buy guy is going to be, and I can't stand that I haven't figured this kid's name out yet, but I'm going to say Tatoria McMillan, or T-Mac as his coaches call him. I really feel like he's on the radar. He's got some value. And he had a great first season. But this is a kid who could potentially be a wide receiver one playing at the next level. And again, I just keep going back to the comp that you gave him, Brandon, because now I can't unsee it. And I can absolutely see Drake London-esque type of skill set from him. I think he's just going to go bonkers as far as his development goes. Just keep getting better, improving in his ability to separate. He's already got great movement for his length and his size. So I think there's a lot to like here. I think he's only going to get better. And if you don't have him, I think the window of an opportunity to get him at a decent price is right now, because I think once he gets into the second season, that window is going to slam shut.
I agree. He's a great player. Great player. So
yeah, I just want to say this on Teteroa McMillan. Dorian Singer jumps to USC. That's a spread system. There's a lot of passing opportunities in that Arizona, that Jetfish system, and now it's going to be divided between Teteroa McMillan and Jacob Cowing. I think he's going to. If he had 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, that would not surprise me. And I'm in 2 startups this year. In one, I got sniped on Teteroa McMillan in the second round, and the other, I drafted him. So I like that call.
Nice.
All right, Felix, who's your third Devy buy?
My third, I'm going to give the tight end some love. I'm going to give Colston Loveland at Michigan some love here because first of all, we know that tight ends don't normally perform early in their careers, even in college, not just the NFL, even in college, they have a hard time breaking out. Well, Colston Loveland started 5 games last year, 16 receptions, 235 yards. That's a big deal. But I love the fact that he is a former wide receiver playing tight end. Came in at 6'5", 230. He's now 6'5", 245. He was behind Luke Schoonmaker and Eric All. Luke Schoonmaker is now with the Dallas Cowboys, I think, and Eric All is now in Iowa. So as far as passing opportunities go, I think that Colston Loveland is going to get a lot of them. I like length, I like size and athleticism at tight end. He has all of them, and he was productive as a freshman. And in the spring game, they were lining him up outside, not just in line attached to the line of scrimmage. So if the tight end has all of those things and we're using him Kyle Pitts at Florida his last season wasn't just used in line as a tight end. He was used all over the place. And so it looks like they're going to use Colston Loveland that way. I got to call him a buy. I think I have him as tight end 4 overall in my rankings.
Yeah, so he should be a primary target for J.J. McCarthy this year, I think, in Michigan. I mean, they don't have the best wide receiver core. I think I got him in the Survivors. I think he was got him in that Survivors.
I think I got him.
I got him. All right, guys, so there you got it. There you have our 9 Devy buys going into the 2023 season. Good stuff, guys.